Welcome in to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered here live on this Tuesday edition. Make sure you hit that like button, share button, and comment button. We appreciate you being here on this Tuesday morning. Shout out to our friends, our new business partners. WAFB, it was great to be on the morning show with Matt and Liz this morning. It was great to be on the news yesterday with Elizabeth and with Greg Merriweather. And it is great to be a part of the team over at WAFB. Shout out to our crew over there. If you don't know what's going on, check out WAFB Plus. That is their digital site, wafb.com/Jordy, to get all of our content that we will be sharing with WAFB in this new partnership. We're fired up about it, man.
New hat vibes.
New hat vibes with our Channel 9 partner. Yes. Pop the trunk there. That's it. You, video guy, camera guy, pull over. Katie is here. The carpool queen is here. Lizzie is here. Stewie is here.
Still here.
He surprised us this morning. Yes.
We're supposed to be in Miami.
He teased us with a South Beach text on Sunday, and some reason he's still here on a Tuesday.
Making me get here early.
Both Bree and Jamil are here live on this Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. It is great to have you along. Omaha is set, and it looks like the SEC West. 4 of the 8 teams who have punched their ticket to Omaha come from the SEC Western Division, and they throw in Oklahoma and Texas just for good measure, which means 6 of the 8 teams in Omaha have SEC ties. Arkansas and Auburn stamped their ticket. Auburn stamped their ticket yesterday. Ole Miss had stamped their ticket earlier this weekend alongside Texas A&M. But yesterday it was Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Stanford, and Texas that rounded out the 4 for the Omaha field. When you look at this one, it's crazy to see all these SEC teams. We'll talk more about that coming up here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Warriors get past Boston last night in Game 5. Steph Curry breaks an incredible streak of three-point shooting that comes to an end last night. We'll tell you about some of the stats and numbers here. Remember, daily, we are brought to you by Go Chevrolet, online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Lizzie in the market for a new car. Got him in touch with Nick Richard over there at Go Express Auto Sales.
My God, great conversation.
Looks like he might be in an Audi before the day's out. Don't want to jinx it.
I might have to take a shot.
Jeez, talk about an upgrade.
That's what I'm
Can
saying.
you get me my
Good
own back so I can
Lord.
stop doing that?
No, I need that sound effect every time.
Guy was pedaling to work last week. Next thing you know, he might be driving a Go Express Audi to work tomorrow.
That's when I get at a taste of luxury with
That's
the parents' car.
You're
Now
gonna
maybe that's who I am.
You're gonna roll up in here in David's truck tomorrow, are you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you house sitting?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Sweet.
Bed sitting.
Good to
Noah's
know.
out of town till Thursday.
Pool?
Lloyd's feeling
Pool?
I'm in.
Egyptian cotton.
300
What's the thread count on these?
count?
3,000 count.
it. But you have to feed a goat, though.
No,
so that comes
we'll
with the
see. He's
territory.
on a diet.
That comes with the Boy,
It's
you
Ramadan.
better feed him.
You might eat them.
Lloyd and Henry on just a liquid diet for the next couple of days.
Water's good for you, dude.
right.
Hydrate up. It's hot.
Who knew the slopes were out during the summer, huh?
You're gonna love the stuff.
Right. All right, so Omaha has set NBA Finals, a game last night, Game 5 last night, as Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors advanced. But Steph, as we said, finished the night with 16 points. He was 7 of 22 shooting. He didn't make a three-pointer. He was 0 for 9
That was painful
on
to watch
his
him try to
three-point
make those
shooting
shots.
attempts. Snapped the NBA record of 132 playoff games and 233 consecutive games for Steph Curry with a three-pointer made. I got to be honest, man. I at some point, all records or all of this stuff comes to an end. I'm glad it happened last night because I had no idea how incredible the number was.
I know.
I mean, like, that is amazing to look at that number. 233 consecutive games. How many years back is that?
I don't know. That's
I mean, how many times does 82 go into 230?
230?
And the math lesson, 4 years? 8 times 4, well, that's 32. So 3 years?
I mean, just 80 into
crazy.
230. How many
Yeah.
times does it go?
3. That's 3 years.
3 years of basketball games that he has not missed a three-pointer. And then 132 playoff games. I mean, that's 2 seasons.
That's crazy. How about Andrew Wiggins, though? 26 points and 13 rebounds. He was amazing.
Wiggins is probably the X factor in this series, right? I mean, he has
Yes.
turned out to be the guy that Boston, it seems they have had answers for at least one of the big three each of the 5 games. They have not had an answer for Andrew Wiggins. Last night, an emphatic dunk by Wiggins put the exclamation point on the win last night for the Golden State Warriors. Wiggins had 26 and 13 last night, and another big night for Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson on what was probably a tough day for him. It was the anniversary, or it was the date that he had ripped up his knee in the finals. It was also the date that he had surgery on a torn Achilles, and he bounces back with 21 last night in a 104-94 win for Golden State over Boston. I thought Boston was controlling this series early on. This thing is kind of ping-pong back and forth between Golden State and Boston. I told Little Jay yesterday, whoever wins tonight, talking about last night, is probably going to win the series because now, obviously, Golden State has forced, if potentially there is one, a Game 7 back in San Francisco at the Chase Center. That potentially could happen if Boston can extend this game and series come Thursday when it goes back to Boston for Game 6.
I got my future on Golden State.
I do too. But we also it's like you have a mini Ted Lasso in your office. There's Warriors in 7 everywhere you turn. It's on sticky notes.
That's Little Jay.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right,
Little Jay has been calling a shot with Warriors in 7. It seems like he's not too far off.
I know.
Because I think this goes 7.
Yeah,
as
me
much
too.
as you want to, like you said, it's ping-ponged around a little bit. You forgot you could forget how dominant Boston looked in their win. Golden State, although, if you're not going to take that game if you're Boston, that's a brutal look where you have Steph Curry absolutely frigid from the field. It was just kind of a wonky game. It looked like they didn't want to play. Like everybody was kind of snowbirding out there. They were just kind of tossing the ball back and forth, sloppy as hell. And if you're Boston, you can't take that game. That's a tough look to have to go back home, and then you're back against the wall. We have Jack, our boy, Jackie. I think he's back in the big Great North because he sent me a picture yesterday of him holding Celtics again with Larry Bird. He's like, I'm sleeping with this tonight. So he's trying to bring out all the stops. He's trying to bring Lucky back.
I got a future from our boys over at Caesars that I want to get out in front of here. What's the bet? We'll bring it back today. Sorry we didn't give it to you yesterday. Remember the promo code FM15, just the letter F, the letter M. 15 is the promo code. You see the MVP odds came out for the NFL this upcoming season. Tom Brady getting the most even money with where is he at? I'm sorry, Tom Brady is at plus 800 for a future. Joey Burrow.
I was about to say, where's Joey B at?
Plus 1,200.
That's the trajectory, right?
Early favorite on him. Early long-term bet on Burrow.
There?
Justin Herbert plus 1,000. Aaron Rodgers plus 900. There are 2 better bets than Brady at the window right now. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes both getting plus 700 odds on future MVP of the NFL.
If I had to pick one, I'd go Josh Allen over Mahomes just because no Tyreek
I would too.
Hill.
I would too. I think that Allen's probably
No Tyreek Hill.
well, I think Allen's probably the leader in the club. He would probably be the 1 seed.
I would think
if I was
so,
to
yeah.
seed this.
What's
After Burrow, it falls off a cliff. Burrow is plus 1,200. Then the next on the list is Matthew Stafford at plus 14. Dak Prescott plus 1,400. Russell Wilson plus 1,400. Lamar Jackson plus 1,400. Kyler Murray plus 2,000. Jalen Hurts plus 2,500. Deshaun Watson getting odds at
the penitentiary?
at plus 2,500.
All-time quarterback.
And Derek Carr
No criminal
plus
charges.
3,000. I would say that the odds on Watson would be whether or not he even touches the
snap.
field
Yeah.
this season, and
Like
I would
a
bet
sharp three.
against that right now.
fella.
Paul
Yeah,
Crew.
yeah, right. Yeah, he might be in the yard, not on the field, for sure.
Rub this for me.
Oh, you'll find plenty of people that want to
No
do it,
doubt
Deshaun.
about it,
It's not
yeah.
be the way you like it, though. Or maybe it is.
It is.
It is.
So Burrow plus 1,200. I'll take some of that action.
Okay.
Take that action.
Yeah, why not? You know who I don't see on the list?
Drew
Jameis.
Oh. Oh.
Jameis. I mean, what if Jameis has the season that potentially he could have? I mean,
Well, he
Off
might.
the board.
off the board right now, but I mean, think about the weapons that he has. You want to go down the list and start comparing weapons of those quarterbacks that we just rattled off of potential MVP candidates. Aaron Rodgers loses his top weapon in Devontae Adams as he switches over to Las Vegas, now playing for the Raiders. We mentioned Patrick Mahomes losing Tyreek Hill. You also talk about Tom Brady losing Antonio Brown. Leonard Fournette looked like he was out of shape earlier this week when he reported to camp. It's going to take him a minute to get back into playing shape. Obviously, Tampa Bay's got weapons, right? They just signed Russell Gage. They got Mike Evans. They got guys over there that can make plays. But when you look at the skill players for New Orleans compared to the rest of the MVP candidates, even Burrow, you know what I mean? I mean, obviously, you've got T. Higgins, you got Jamar, you got Joe Mixon. Did their tight end sign somewhere? Did they bring their tight end back?
I don't think he came back, and he was
is
like
that Uzomah?
Yeah, he was like Mr. Bingle too.
Yeah.
He's the one that ripped the knee brace off before the Super Bowl, and like,
he had
got the crowd
a
all
good
fired
playoff
up.
run, though.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, he had a really good playoff run. But when you look at the Saints' weapons, just in comparison to some of the skill players alongside some of these MVP candidates, who's Josh Allen's top? Would it be
Stephon
Diggs?
Yeah.
Diggs would be his top playmaker. But I mean, you talk about Mike Thomas first. Minicamp starts today. Mandatory minicamp starts today around the league, and it does not look like Mike Thomas is going to be a full go. He's in the building, as we've been told, and he'll be around the facility. But obviously, we feel like Mike Thomas is going to be full strength first week of September, right? I mean, we all agree on that.
He has a new foot.
He better at this point.
He's got to regenerate. It's like a
You got Thomas. You signed Jarvis Landry. You've got Chris Olave. You got Alvin Kamara. Obviously, you don't know what the deal's going to be with Kamara on what his potential suspension if he misses any games. We haven't even talked about guys like Marquez Callaway on where he fits in now. It was very unfair, I thought, last year to ask Callaway to be to produce like a number one wideout when he just didn't have that experience in the league. But what he was able to give you in that role, I thought, was definitely a sight that was leave you optimistic going into the future, right? I mean, the way that he played last year in his role that he was asked to produce in, unfair for his skill set at the time, but he fits the mold, right? So now if you're asking Callaway, look, man, you don't have to be the one. You don't have to be the two. You could possibly be 3-4 option on the Saints offense. Okay, now he fits in and is a hell of a mismatch. If you've got your fourth best corner or cover guy covering Marquez Callaway because you got to take care of Mike Thomas, who you're probably doubling up. You got Jarvis Landry in the slot. You've got Olave on the outside. You got to worry about Kamara. I mean, Taysom Hill is now going to be a every down tight end. He's going to be an issue. I mean, you're going to have to account for him when the huddle breaks or when you get to the line of scrimmage. So, look, Jameis not being a highly thought of MVP candidate, sure, it makes sense. But to see him off the board makes no sense to me.
If you're going to give Deshaun odds, you might as well give Jameis.
And you're talking about a long future that you could fish in from out of the deep blue sea.
But Hunter Fournette brought this up in the chat, and I think it's a good bet. Also, is Jameis comeback player of the year?
Yeah,
I hit with that last year on Joe Burrow. Talk about Joe Burrow being MVP.
Did.
He's on that little trajectory of he's obviously in the news cycle. He's very top of mind. So to see him be an MVP wouldn't be the farthest reach, I would imagine, because he's already racked in accolades. So they know Burrow's on that steady rise of what it takes to be a superstar in the NFL. Obviously makes it to the Super Bowl, but you see it happen just like Patrick Mahomes, where it happens this fast. And so I wouldn't be shocked to see Burrow in that MVP conversation all year.
Poll question is up. Will Mike Thomas be ready for Week 1? Brought to you by Southern Eye Center of Baton Rouge. Remember our friends over at Southern Eye Center of Baton Rouge, located on Jefferson Highway. Stop in and see Dr. Ann Shaw and her team over there. They've got a great selection of sunglasses. Remember, if you mention the Jordy Culotta Show, they will take 25% off of their wide-ranging selection of name brand sunglasses. Stop in and see them. It's summertime. The heat is here. If you're traveling, if you've lost your sunglasses, if you can't find your shades, stop in and see our friends over at Southern Eye Center. You can also get your vision checked over there. They're as good as anybody in the business. So check in with Southern Eye Center of Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway. Poll question is up, brought to you by our friends over there. Will Mike Thomas be ready for Week 1? We'll talk about that a little bit more with Jacques Doucet, who's going to be in with us coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. Him and Heather Godin, who is the digital director over at WAFB, will come in and explain a little bit more about our partnership that we announced yesterday, which we are fired up about. Remember our friends over at GoFlow, GEAUX Flow. GoFlowIV.com. GoFlow IV is located on Jefferson Highway. If you're looking for a boost of energy here this week, if you need something going into the weekend, stop in and see our friends over at GoFlow. They got a promo code over there. If you mention the Jordy Culotta Show, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit over to GoFlow. Jefferson Highway, GEAUX, FlowIV.com. They got memberships available. 3-month, 6-month, and annual memberships that you can find out about online. You can also make your appointment there. They do take walk-ins, but they suggest that you make an appointment. Easiest way to do that is online. Baton Rouge's premier medical spa. They specialize in IV hydration treatments with vitamin infusion over there over at GoFlow. GEAUX, FlowIV.com. GoFlowIV.com is where you can find them online, as you can make your appointment there. All right, so we talked a little bit about Omaha NBA Finals. Obviously, mini camp starts today with the New Orleans Saints. There was also a story last week that we didn't talk about just because so much stuff was going on in the news. But Keishawn Butte is back. I told you last week I was over at LSU for a couple of those camps. Little Jay was a part of the youth camp, and Keishawn was walking around as a counselor with the camp. And I got to say, Keishawn looked back in shape.
Maybe he's been eating at Fresh Chef Kitchen.
Maybe
Looks like it.
GoFlow IV.
Yeah.
Another promo code from our friends over at Fresh
do have
Chef.
a promo code
Yes.
at Fresh Chef, Jordy10, to get 10% off your order for orders over $40.
Nice.
Yes.
The booty is off.
The boot day is off.
Yes.
Slim that booty down. And
He
that
does-
coupon's valid for the next 3 weeks. by
He's
the
still
way,
got a nice
so
ass,
put it
though.
Great ass.
Yeah.
in. Why do y'all-
That's-
I love
that's
how
the
many
barometer.
asses y'all
That's
talk
that's the
about here.
tail. Like
Yeah.
to a good
Literally.
athlete, great
That's
ass.
baseball,
tail.
though.
No.
Ankles and
Katie.
ass.
Katie.
Two
Any sport, ass.
key identifiers of an athlete. Ankles and ass is two of your. That's where you want to look, right?
I
That's
don't
where
like
you
big
want to
booty in
analyze.
basketball shorts, though.
I don't know,
It's better
man.
in football pants.
I don't
There's
know.
Something about big booty in basketball.
It is
shorts.
a space maker. It could be a space maker on the basketball floor. Glenn Davis had a
Can't
huge
be a
ass.
space maker.
And
Kyle Lowry.
Kenny Lofton Jr.
Kyle Lowry.
Yep.
Absolutely. Marcus Spears, as we talked about earlier this week, huge ass. And was a hell of a basketball player. You have to go over the back.
We need to do like an ass correlation to like the best athletes and then rate their booties.
Yeah.
Katie.
And, like,
Larry
Podcast.
Fitzgerald. Google Larry Fitzgerald. He is the one seed.
Yeah.
Top tier.
You could set this cup on Fitzgerald's ass.
Yes.
And it
Touch
wouldn't
the corner
move as he
off of it.
ran.
Welcome to WAFB.
I actually met Fitzgerald at Patrick Peterson's golf tournament and could not take my eyes off of his ass.
off of his ass.
No,
Did you give him any opportunity?
there's a picture of he and I on the tee box, and I went arm around and 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, here's the picture of just the booty. Look
Yeah,
at
it's
that.
unbelievable.
Fitzgerald. I mean,
It's
just
like a peach.
look at that thing.
Yeah.
The
It's
perfect
like,
C.
It is like a peach.
I mean, it is
You don't
a capital letter C.
You don't see the
Yeah.
thigh gap on men often, but he
No.
pulls it off.
I don't know if
But
that's sexy on men.
if it's what he's got, it is.
just saying, ass and ankles. Check him out. But going back to Keishawn,
What's
little
the
ankles,
recruiting?
great ass.
Sorry, Keishawn.
You know what I mean? Great player.
Does Keishawn have little ankles?
Small ankles, big ass. Hell of an athlete. Probably going to be the first wide receiver taken off the board in the NFL draft.
Get Jordy for all your scouting needs.
Checks all the boxes.
I mean, would you look at that
I
ass?
mean, hey, don't think that there's not NFL scouts and college recruiters that did that. You know what I mean? Like, I know that most people don't want to hear that, but actually, during Pro Day, we were doing a live hit on Mikey's show, if you remember this, and we were up top doing the hit, and I was doing it out of the headphones, so I'm kind of like speaking into the, and like as I'm talking about it, I think that the ass came up.
That was Derek Stingley.
We were
was
talking
running.
about
That's right. I
Stingley,
remember
which
that.
if you saw Lovey Smith's comments about Stingley, he
I
fell
mean-
in love with the guy.
the ass.
And I'm like yelling into the headset, like, "Yes, great ass! He's got a great ass. His ass looks great today." And like people are like,
All the scouts were like
looking up. Frank Wilson was like texting me like, dude, shut up.
What's funny,
We can all hear you down
you
here.
could have heard a pin drop before Stingley's about to take off. Jordy said the Raptors, great ass.
Great ass. Like Rappaport, all these guys are like looking up like, Jesus, what is going on here? And I see a scout coming out and he's like, man, you made an ass out of yourself. No pun intended. And I was like, he was like, what were you doing? I was like, I was doing a live interview back to our studio and they were asking me about, you know,
His
like
ass.
some of the athletes and like, what do they look at? And I was talking about Stingley's ass and he was like, you ain't wrong. You know what I mean? Kind of on the way out. But I mean, you sure did not handle that the right way. But back to Kayshawn. Leave me alone, for God's sakes. Kayshawn's 100%. He looks 100%. He feels 100%. And here's the reason why I know he's 100% is because he came out of his way to tell me he was 100%.
Okay.
Like walking on the field, he had the towel on the head. You know, the Kayshawn look, bro. Summer heat. He had already put the work in early that morning. And when he was walking up, and I was talking to somebody, and he just kind of walked up, and we just started having a conversation. And out of nowhere, like, didn't ask him anything. I hadn't asked him about his health. Didn't ask him about anything, how he was feeling. He told me, going 100% now. Running full speed. And I'm kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, he was like, yeah, we've been back at it for a week. I hadn't told anybody yet. I'm like, okay. Okay, I see what you're doing.
Trying to break a
You're
little
feeling it
news.
right now, bro. You feeling yourself right now. Tiger Rag got the story, and they put it out and published it. But the point of the story is that he's proud of it. He feels it. And when we saw him here a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, it looked like that was a storyline that might have been a little far off. Right, I didn't anticipate him to be back in this good of shape, back at 100%, this quick going into the summer. One thing that I can also say that has been done over the last couple of weeks, and this is speaking to Kayshawn, I don't think he would have a problem with me saying this, is that him and Kelly are tight. You know, they have really had some good one-on-ones. Brian Kelly, speaking about the head coach,
That's good.
of, you know, getting on the same page as your best player. And you can tell just from my point of view and talking to Kayshawn and people around the program is that he really respects the way that Kelly handled this thing. And I think that was
That's huge.
that was probably a little fragile there for a minute because it's a hell of a gamble you take as an existing coach, especially a new coach, to come in and call out your best player. It's a hell of a risk, but it can also be a hell of a reward if it works out for you. And it looks in this instance as if it has worked out for Brian Kelly in the sense of he came in, he was asked about Kayshawn. I believe Jacques asked him about Kayshawn at an early press conference. And Brian Kelly was he was very transparent into the public and saying, hey, I just hope we see him. I hadn't seen the guy. He didn't come around. You know, I mean, he's got to make up his mind where he wants to be because you got to think of it in the grand scheme of it. Sure, Brian Kelly needs Kayshon Boutte, right, in year one. But who needs one another more in this relationship? Boutte needs Kelly more here in the sense of Brian Kelly's got job security. Whatever really happens in his first season, barring that the wheels don't fall off and it turn into a tire fire, that he's going to be back. I mean, he's got a 10-year contract. He's got guaranteed money. They're not going to can him in year one over, what's happening on the field. So if Kayshon Boutte, in what feels like is going to be his last year in Baton Rouge, being that it's Brian Kelly's first, he knows that if he's got to get on the field and answer some questions that pro scouts have about his foot, about his ankle, his Achilles, on, whether or not you're going to be able to bounce back from this, he's got to play. Kayshon, I don't think has the luxury like Stingley did last year, where Sting could have hung it up, which he did, but did it for, health purposes. But in the grand scheme of it, he could have gone Jamar Chase and just not shown up for his junior season and been drafted top 5 overall. Kayshon could come back, play this season, and be a top 5 pick. I think if he sat out the season, he'd still be a first rounder, potentially, but he wouldn't be a top 10 guy. He can play his way back into the top 10 with just being Kayshon. I mean, if he's Kayshon, all is good. But I still think pro scouts need to have the questions answered. Are you Kayshon again? And one thing that looks evident is that he's back in shape. Because when he sat here 2 months ago, he did not look in shape, right? I mean, I don't think that I was the only one that told him that. You know what I mean? I'd imagine that he was hearing that from a lot of people because he didn't. That's a world-class athlete. You know what I mean? Like he is he can change a scoreboard on a football field from anywhere that he touches it. And he wasn't in that type of physical shape a couple of months back. Now, obviously, he was going through rehab. He had a second surgery that he didn't think was going to happen, that they had the setback on the foot that he had to take care of. So, I mean, from a physical standpoint, it just kind of took him a minute to fall in line and get in shape. But now he is. The other thing that jumped out about his conversation to Tiger Rag is that he thinks that Garrett Nussmeier is going to be the quarterback of this team.
Wow.
I mean, he talked about his relationship that he has with all three quarterbacks, and it's all in a really good place. He's got respect for all the guys in the competition, whether it's Jaden Daniels, whether it's Miles Brennan, but he speaks differently about Garrett Nussmeier. He talks about how he believes Nussmeier is he's a type of player that can bring LSU to a national championship. He thinks he can do it pretty quick. He mentions the skill sets that both have. It is very similar to what we talked about when breaking down the quarterbacks in spring. With Miles Brennan, you've got a professional passer. Guy's got a bazooka attached to his right shoulder. Can make all the throws, any throw you want. Throws it with velocity, zip, touch, catchable football. Throws a beautiful football, man. I believe he'll have a spot on an NFL roster just because his arm is that talented. Jaden Daniels, pretty good thrower, hell of an athlete. You heard a couple of the guys that came through. Was it Wingo? Was it Mackay, the defensive lineman, who was talking about Jaden Daniels and how fast he was in the open field and how tough it was, even though he was not live during spring, how tough it would have been to get him to the ground. So obviously he is somebody that you can count on to play breaks down. He's athletic enough to keep it moving with his feet and pick up big plays. But then when you talk about Nussmeier, he's a little bit of both. He's a guy that can make the throws, strong enough arm to really kind of put it in there and find the windows, but athletic enough that if stuff breaks down, you're not calling quarterback keepers and quarterback, runs for this guy, but athletic enough that if the pocket breaks down, he can keep it alive. He's not gonna always set you back because he can't get out of trouble. And Kayshawn really recognizes that in some of his comments that he said. On his relationship with quarterback Miles Brennan, who's back after being injured out of all last season, and his take from the play of Nussmeier, who is battling Brennan and Arizona State transfer Jaden Daniels for the starting job, Kayshawn Butte told Tiger Rag, "I've got a great relationship with all quarterbacks, and I would say Garrett Nussmeier is going to be a great quarterback for LSU. He's going to lead LSU to win most of the games to national championships, hopefully. I look forward to watching him play." On what it is about Nussmeier's personality and skill set that separates him from the others from Butte's perspective, Kayshawn said to Tiger Rag, "I would say Garrett can do everything. He's versatile. So that's what I really like about him. I feel like anything you ask him to do, he can do it." That's your best player on offense, speaking candidly to the public about how he feels about a quarterback competition. And it's very similar to what all of people who saw this competition up close over the 15 practices and talk to people around the program get the sense of how it's really moving. I'm not here to tell you that Garrett's going to be the play one, game one starting quarterback, but I said, like I mentioned in spring, I think that Garrett Nussmeier is the quarterback of the team in 2022. He will take the majority of the snaps, and I say that because he gives you the best chance to win. And at the end of the day, that's what the job of Brian Kelly, the offensive staff, is to find who gives LSU the best chance to win football games. Who's toughest for defensive coordinators to scheme for? And when you put it like that, doesn't it come to a very easy answer? Like if you're scheming for Jaden Daniels, you know what you have to take away. Keep him in the pocket, right? Don't let him get out. With Miles Brennan, you better attack. Don't let him sit back there and just pick you apart. And if you put pressure on him, he'll probably make a mistake. With Garrett Nussmeier, pick your poison. If we don't blitz him, he can keep it. If we blitz him, he can pick up the blitz and make the throws. I just think from a scheme standpoint, Garrett Nussmeier, it's starting to become pretty evident, gives you the best place and chance to win. After what I saw in spring, after what I saw last season, after understanding the mentality of Nussmeier a little bit and getting to know him from afar, not by no means are we trading text messages or hanging out and going to dinner, but just he came through here. We had good conversation. We've talked a little bit about ball in the past. He know the bloodline and where he comes from. You kind of get an understanding and talking to other people of what his approach is like and what he puts his priorities in on playing the position. And not to say that that Brennan and Daniels aren't prepared, but when you throw in just all the ingredients of spices into the pot of Garrett Nussmeier and it comes out, he's just got a lot of everything.
Did you watch him walk away though? What's that booty like?
Little small.
A little light in the ass still.
Yeah. He's young though. He's young.
We got plenty of time.
Got the frame though.
Got
the frame.
he's
The frame's
got
there.
booty,
And
yeah.
he's got the lineage.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He's low on the booty chart then.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
It's all right.
But you talk about.
But to answer your questions, I did.
Yeah.
You watched him all the way.
Yeah, well, I'm scouting.
Side eye.
Got to get a good scout in there.
Absolutely. But don't you think whenever he was talking about like what you saw from Nussmeier when he played his limited time at LSU, that he was like, that's not the quarterback I am. Like he was labeled the gunslinger, all that. He goes, I'm really not that type of player. He's like, I feel like I had to do that because we had literally no idea what we were doing on offense. We didn't have a game plan. And so I just went out there and just played football the way that I thought was the best way I thought could help us win is essentially what he had to do. So I think there's a different version of Nussmeier that LSU fans probably haven't seen. He's not really the gunslinger, Brett Favre, whatever you want to label him. I think because he is the son of a quarterback's coach, the son of a quarterback, he's going to have some of that like very calculated, know when to check down. I know how to matriculate an offense because if you give me this job, I'm going to handle it differently than if I'm playing to try to win the job. And I feel like if you give Nussmeier just the keys to the car at the onset, you'll see a different version of him. Where you're like, all right, I know when to take my shots. I know when to take my medicine. Let's move this thing. Let's run the ball a little bit. Like he can be a different version of the Nussmeier that you think that you know, I would imagine.
And Roe kind of had a little take on this last week on his show about like the quarterback competition and where things stood. And he even said Garrett Nussmeier was the guy. Like because of he kind of said he was a gunslinger, but he didn't want to label him that because he knows Nussmeier can make all the throws and he can do everything that a good quarterback can do.
Damn, it was a lot cooler in this argument when nobody was over here. When we were calling
when
Nussmeier earlier.
When it was just you.
Yeah, everybody was saying Miles Brennan early on. I was like, I think it's Nuss.
You did. You said it a long
I
time.
mean,
think it's nuts.
watching spring practice, you just got that feeling. Like he's just commanding everything. He's talking to the linemen. He's talking to the receivers. He's talking to the defense. Like he's just that guy. Like Miles and Jaden were just kind of like make a play and go back to the sideline. Make a play, go back to the sideline.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that for the position of quarterback in sports, you got to be able to play. It doesn't matter if this does not matter if you cannot play. But if you can play at all, it matters how you carry yourself in the locker room. And Nussmeier carries himself like the starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. He has this confidence to him. He has this air to him. It's not by any means arrogance. It's not by any means cocky. It's not by any means hubris in any way. I think that it is confidence. It is preparation. It is the feeling of it's his time. You know what I mean? Like it feels like this is his time in his football life to really command this position, and it feels like he's the guy going into it. You know, I mean, it really feels like he's the guy that LSU has the best chance to win football games if he's under center. So.
Is there any concern with naming him? This is what kind of we talked about with Roe and where my dog's at, but having to name almost Miles Brennan or Jaden Daniels, essentially the starter for week one just to keep one of them in the boat. Because if you go down the Nuss bus, if you hop on that, you would imagine like who do you have behind him that's not Walker Howard? I would imagine that you see Miles Brennan hop in the portal. I don't know if Jaden Daniels can leave, but he has 2 to play 2. I don't think he would sit here. He would probably go take a year to sit. I guess he would have to essentially sit out or graduate transfer somewhere and sit and stay the year here. But when you're given that opportunity, if you see Nussmeier, I don't think those 2 guys that have been starters before are going to sit around and be like, I'm not going to wait for him to make a mistake. I'm going to hop in the portal and go take a chance.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the only concern I have, because then you only have Walker Howard behind you, and you don't want him sniffing the field.
Right.
You want him to be as coddled and protected as he can be in year 1.
Well, I think that's the politics that Brian Kelly has been playing. He's played it through spring. His last quote on the quarterback after the spring game was
worse.
that,
he didn't make it easy.
He was more confused than he had learned anything, which was, that's the right political way to play it, in the sense of, I thought I knew, but now I have no clue. I guess it'll take me all summer to figure it out. You know what I mean? So you guys can't go anywhere. You'll probably do a little bit of that dancing into the fall camp. You know what I mean? Just to make sure that he can keep his quarterback position secure. Obviously, because of how much it means to the overall success of the team.
So you think this competition goes until like week 1?
I think the announcement of it does. I still think if you've got Kayshawn speaking openly like that, that means that there is obvious that sentiment in the locker room, right? If your best player or one of your best players is speaking so freely publicly about the way that he's feeling, he's not the only one that feels like that. If people like us who just had limited access to go watch this 15 practices take away what we have given our opinion on this platform to say that we believe that Nussmeier's the guy. I've thought that he was the guy since early on in spring. I thought that he was going to be the starting quarterback just because of what we were seeing out there. And then you start to read some of the stuff that other people are hearing around the quarterback competition. I think that's coming from somebody, right? That's not people just throwing stuff up against the wall. If everybody's sitting in the same corner of the room saying, like, this is what we believe, it's obvious that there is some type of feeling within that program that when it's all said and done, when it's time to really kind of sit down and make the call, it's going to be tough to beat number 5. It'll be tough to unseat him.
13.
Did he go 13?
Yeah,
He
he
went
came
13.
back.
Jaden is
13.
5.
Yeah. I wonder if he paid him for that.
Well, no.
Maybe.
Jaden's got a booty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the other side of the coin. If you really wanted to dive into the quarterback competition, there's a skill set for Jaden to play.
Yeah.
It may not be as a starter, but there's definitely packages where you put him out there, because it's not just run only. He can sling it a little bit to where you'd have to respect it, but I don't know how much Brian Kelly wants to play that song and dance of bringing in multiple quarterbacks, because what's the old saying? If you have 2, you have none.
Yeah.
But Jaden Daniels has a skill set that it's intoxicating to not. You have to want to put him out there a little bit, just because he can break the game. 1 or 2 touches, and that's all it takes from him.
I know. I really want to see him play.
I'm not against, a package per half or a package where you want to bring Jaden Daniels in where you see some type of ability to change the pace of the game.
Was it Malik Zaire that he did that with at Notre Dame, where he had packages for him?
Was it Tommy Reese?
Tommy
his
Reese
offensive
was
coordinator?
But
He might have been the quarterback.
yeah,
That's
Tommy
what I'm
Reese
saying.
might have
That's
been
what I'm
the
saying.
quarterback.
Reese was the quarterback and was Malik Zaire kind of
Or was it Tommy Reese or was it it was somebody before him
Everett
too,
Golston.
or after him?
Everett-
Everett
Everett-
Golston and
Malik Zaire.
Yeah, and they
Everett
would do
got
packages.
hurt, yeah. He's done the 2 quarterback system before. It's in the all or nothing when Brian Kelly's the head coach at Notre Dame. You can see him going back and forth. But like I said, I don't know how much you want to open up that can of worms with a young quarterback in Nussmeier who's a redshirt freshman. You start kind of pulling him in and out of the game. You can't get any rhythm. And then you have Jaden Daniels, who started essentially 2 years. He's going to be a guy when he walks into the huddle that's going to have confidence, because he's like, I've been here before. You're not going to get the wide-eyed, this is New Orleans, Florida State, like, holy shit, the lights are bright. It's going to be, I've been in here before, and I've never had this much talent around me in my life. Like, once you give those guys a shot, it's hard to give up the reins.
Did you say he can't transfer back out?
He has 2 to play. He has 2
Yeah.
years to play 2.
Okay.
Jaden Daniels?
Yeah.
Right. He's got 2 years left, and he's already burned his immediate transfer portal playing. So, I don't know how that works with the NCAA. I'd imagine that they're handing waivers away right
I was
now,
about
like
to say,
Tic Tacs.
Probably
You know what I
apply
mean? It
for a
probably
waiver.
wouldn't be too tough to get a waiver on that. But
You could probably just walk out and go to a school and be like, oh, sure.
Yeah.
Like, we
Right.
don't even, who's why. Nobody's in this office. I'm just going to go to school again. I'm just switching schools.
But by the letter of the law, he's got 2 years to play too, and right now he's burned his, immediately transferring to be eligible here at LSU. Swerve asks, why would Daniels burn his last season as a package guy? He's got 2 years left, but look, I mean, he made the choice to transfer in. I think he had a good understanding of what the quarterback competition was going to look like. I can't imagine that anybody has had this thing promised to them.
Do you think he's regretting making the choice?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know that. I don't know Jaden Daniels. I've never spoke to Daniels. I've only heard him speak a couple of times to the media. But, by all accounts, I think that he feels like he's got a legitimate chance to win the job. I don't think that he gives LSU the best chance to win every game. I think that he can help LSU out in a couple of situations, but I think by, just the fact of the matter is that he's not the best quarterback on the roster right now, or doesn't feel like it. He may be, but he'd have to play himself into that at this point. But with what he can provide, I think from a dual threat or just a threat of, being a really good runner, I think you really, you take that into account, and you can change the pace of games by having somebody back there that, can see the field and can make throws and push the ball down the field, and then put somebody in there that can keep the ball from the quarterback spot and really kind of change the complexion of the game. So LSU's got the luxury right now of having all of those guys on the roster. How do they manage that through fall camp will be interesting to see.
I do want to see him play. I hope he gets a chance.
I think he'll get a chance. I think all three of them at some point will get a chance.
It'll be week 2 against Southern is when you're going to see everybody. LSU once again having I love it. I love having week 1 a absolute primetime game. You saw it last year with UCLA, but it certainly sets the tenor for the season, especially Brian Kelly, year 1. Where are the expectations level? Where's the expectation level? You don't know who your quarterback is. You're staying in New Orleans. Everything points to LSU should win. You beat Florida State last year with Notre Dame. The expectations are going to be high, and if you don't know who your quarterback is going into week 1, that's tough. Then you see the shuffle week 2, and you can see how the fans will start to spin and turn this into a thing. There's going to be a narrative formed around however week 1 plays out, and then especially if you start seeing all 3 quarterbacks week 2, and then I think you have Mississippi State week 3. So there's not really a break in there to figure this thing out before week 1.
George the Greek says, how far behind is Walker Howard? Wait, did you ask me a question?
No. I don't think he was listening.
No, we just had a little moment of
No,
silence.
I just thought they were just going more on the quarterback. But no, George the Greek was asking about Walker Howard and how far behind he is right now. I don't get the impression that Howard is behind at all. I think there was a really good article that was written last week, I believe in the USA Today, which was detailing kind of Walker's place in the quarterback competition. I think that everybody around Walker, I think that Howard himself have really accepted and are okay and really kind of pushing for the red shirt here in year 1 and give him an opportunity, really first and foremost, to get healthy. I don't think people realize he had the thumb surgery right when he got to LSU, which set him back a couple of weeks. Now, spring practice was suspended, or it was pushed back a couple of weeks, which was, very helpful to Walker as far as his rehab went and got him onto the field. But early on, there was still a lot of rust of just trying to work back into, football shape. He couldn't grip a football. He was having trouble throwing the football. He was just kind of going through a lot of mental reps, which he was kind of getting run over with. But then it started to kind of slow down for him. And he started to really recognize. We talked to Emory Jones on Friday, and we asked him how much he missed in not reporting in spring. And he said, man, if I could have that semester back, I would love to be able to. I don't believe Catholic High allows their senior members to graduate early, so I don't think that it was ever up for discussion. But Emory Jones was talking about the advantage that guys like Quincy Wiggins and Will Campbell have in coming in early and really, learning the offense and just getting a jump on the competition, or at least kind of recognizing how college works, finding your classes, moving from the locker room to class, living on your own, all of that stuff that goes into that first semester in college, where there's still a little bit of a shock value of being away, from your parents' house. for guys like Campbell and the early enrollees from the freshman class, that was very beneficial for them. And Emory Jones was talking about, wishing that he would have had that opportunity. And Walker Howard, I think, is going to, receive a lot of success for just here in the fall camp because of the time that he's already put in at LSU. I don't expect him to play. I don't expect him to compete, but I expect him a year from now for him to be in the discussion as the starting quarterback. I think that he'll be in a very intense competition with either him and Nussmeier or he and Nussmeier and Jaden Daniels, whoever it may be, moving into next year. I think that Walker Howard is going to be, look, he's got the intention of playing next season. I think that's his mindset. I think that that's LSU's mindset, that he's going to compete to play within the first 2 years of being on campus. But the first year, just get him caught up. Let him see what it's like to be an SEC quarterback. Let him see the competition from the sideline. Let him experience that speed, and let him travel on the road, and let him stay in a team hotel, and let him ride the team bus, and let him see all these venues from an opponent's sideline, or see a home venue, of Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night in a big game. I mean, all of that stuff, I think, weighs and means something into the future of a guy like Walker Howard, who's going to be given so much responsibility when it's time for him to play, and his time to play is going to come. It'll come sooner rather than later.
If it doesn't work out, he can fall back on selling PS5s.
Mm-hmm.
He always has that in his back pocket.
He's had a hell of a run up to this point.
Yeah. How'd you get that Sony deal?
That's right.
Trying to get it too.
All right, remember, daily, we're brought to you by RMB Builders. Rhett Bourgeois and his crew over at RMB Builders. RMB-builders.com is where you can find them online, whether you're looking to build, buy, or remodel a home. You can get in touch with Rhett. Katie's got the crew over there right now. Got Rhett and the
Porta
crew.
potty out in the driveway.
Lloyd.
Dumpster back there.
Yeah.
Lloyd's going to be able to
I'll
stay
be
in it.
hanging out as much as I want.
Lloyd's the project.
Construction
They're gone.
upstairs.
They're gone. by
Katie just
4.
called. They wanted y'all to knock off for the rest of the week.
Yeah. Still gotta get paid, boys.
Wasn't my call. I don't know.
You want to talk to her?
You know what I mean? But get in touch with Rhett. RMB-builders.com. RMB-builders.com is the phone number, or is the website. Get in touch with Rhett and his crew over there. You can check out the website and find some of the works that they've already done, man. Great design. We tell you that a lot of you here locally get caught up in the reputation of some contractors where you feel like you got to have their sign out in your front yard. Just go with Rhett and his crew, man. They do the work, quality work. They're on time. They got great communication. And they've got success stories lists long, man. Find out for yourself by some of the testimonials online. Odds are you probably know somebody who's had work done by Rhett. Just ask around. But Katie has. Yes.
Everyone knows someone.
I have. Rhett's the best. RMB-builders.com. RMB-builders.com is where you find them online. We'll be back with the second hour. We're going to talk to Heather Godin and Jacques Doucet, our friend from WAFB. We'll explain a little bit more about our partnership with WAFB. And we will also talk about some of the things coming up. We'll talk on some of the sports topics with Jacques as well here, as Jacques' been covering a couple of the New Orleans Saints mini camps. He was there around spring football. We'll ask him who he believes is going to be the starting quarterback. Lots to get to with the second hour of the Jordy Culotta Show. Driven and powered by Ghost Chevrolet, coming up here in a couple of minutes. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. True Blue Water, true hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's TRU bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. TRU bluewater.com. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz. Do you have questions about your finances? Are you looking for recommendations from a skilled financial advisor? Get in touch with our friend Daniel Newman over at Edward Jones. You can find him easily by logging online and shooting him an email at daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. That is daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. Whether it is help with your 401k or just fiscal advice heading into the new season, get in touch with Daniel today. Best way to do it? Email him, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. He's our experienced financial advisor. Let him be yours, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Shout out to our crew over at Go Chevrolet. Online, GEAUXChevrolet.com. Used car lot over on Sherwood Forest and Florida Boulevard, or brand new cars out in Laplace, Louisiana. You see the gear, rocking the hat, WAFB 9, our new partners. We were there yesterday. We were a part of the 6 o'clock news. We were on their morning show this morning with Matt and Liz, and now we've got the face of the sports department and the director of digital media over there, who has been incredibly helpful, instrumental in putting this deal together. Our friend Heather Godin. It is good to see both of you. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Great to be here.
Yes, JD, rocking the gear, bro. I appreciate that.
I joked with you yesterday. This is like going to the concert and wearing the T-shirt of the band you're going to see.
Yeah, I guess bring the guy backstage. I mean, God, he kind of feels like a Psycho fan. But JD, this is fun, man. Heather and I, through a lot of the negotiation of this, you and I came up as far as like programming that we could do together. I know you and I have always talked about a lot of the similarities in our work and going after the guest and trying to bring in the newsmakers to sit down and talk to him. And I know we're really fired up for this partnership, man.
I'm tremendously excited. Yeah. I'm a tad older than you, but you
5 years, who's counting?
But from the same kind of generation.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I both, Chris Jackson, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, that's like our
Kiss
hero.
the ring.
Tommy Hotson, that's what we grew up on and whatnot. And both of us have witnessed the evolution of sports media, how much it's changed since I first interned, 25 years ago or whatever, how much content there is now. And I think you and I view this the same way. I'm not an analyst. I'm not somebody who's can break down sports left and right. But I think I try to go out and catch as many fish as I can, and feed the public of their demand of LSU sports.
I think Jacques does it a lot different, and I don't mean to talk about you like you're not here, but you do it differently than a lot of just television journalists. They are essentially preparing for a 3-minute newsreel, right? I mean, inside the window of the news, the sports department gets 3 minutes, and Jacques has always, I thought, I've respected his work because of the hard work that he's always had. A high school team that he's breaking down. He's always getting the interviews behind the scenes. The only guy in our market right up to this point who's had the in-depth conversation with Brian Kelly is Jacques, and that's no coincidence. I mean, that's happening because he's knocking on doors and he's trying to make stuff happen, and that's now our partner. So we are fired up about that. And Heather, you and I have been in discussion just about the digital world and how much it has changed so much. You obviously came out of the independent world and now working with WAFB and really have a good vision of what you want that department to look like. So bringing us aboard was really that was a huge step for us. It was a huge part in our company. What did you see from WAFB's side, from the digital platform, and what we can provide?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to take full credit for this, but
Yes.
I just started with WAFB in March, and yes, this is my first sort of venture into a new industry. I had a lot of experience working with clients before, dealing with all types of media, digital and just traditional advertising, but things have changed, and things continue to change every single day, between Google rhythms and AI and the way digital marketers have to strategize it changes. So to me, this was new to keep up with the trends, but also so needed. You bring something to television that doesn't really exist. And this partnership has not been done before that I've seen. And similar to what you said with Jacques, you bring your engaging conversations and in-depth, expertise on sports, and it's real talk. That's what people want. It's great to have the facts and to see it on the news and what Jacques brings and the interviews he gets, but also to complement that, we have you and your team with that real, raw, just engaging conversation. People don't really get to engage with TV.
Yeah.
It's a very unidirectional form of media, but with YouTube and social media, you're bringing that bi-directional conversation. People get to comment and ask questions and engage, and that's what people want.
Jacques, how have you seen the industry change from your point of view? Forget over the last 20 years, over the last 3 years.
Yeah, and I want to mention, our sports director, Steve Schneider, too,
Sure.
who I've been working under for over 20 years now, and he made high school football important in Baton Rouge in terms of covering it and sports line coverage and everything. And you always want to give local viewers something they can't see on ESPN. That was kind of the, always the statement in terms of give them a reason to watch you and everything. But, when I first got into it, Jordy, if you want to go live somewhere, you needed a big satellite truck. You had to run cables and book satellite time on AMC 5 upper, and and now you got a book backpack basically where you can go live anywhere at any time. And I think what used to happen, Jordy, is that you would go out and you would shoot an interview with a coach or a press conference, 30, 40 minutes, and you would only use 2 or 3 sound bites that would make it onto the air, 20, 30 seconds, and the rest of it got taped over the next day. And so now it's like, well, no, somebody wants to watch that entire conversation. Let's put that up online. Or what you're doing right now, you're doing it in real time. People are watching it live. I watched your interview yesterday with Jamar Kane, the defensive line coach. He sat here for almost half an hour, and I'm sure people watched all of that stuff. So I think that's how it's really changed. I think, just how our entertainment, it used to be either had a half-hour show that was 22 minutes of content and 8 minutes of commercials, or a 1-hour show that was 44 minutes and 16 minutes of commercials, or you had a movie that was 2 hours, and now you can, watch Stranger Things, and the first episode's an hour and a half. Things are being fleshed out more, and people, it's not as rushed as it used to be. And people can watch it. When I grew up, you watch the news at 5:30 with Dan Rather, and you watch the local news at 6. Well, a lot of people, their schedules, they don't do that. They can go back and watch it later, but they're not watching as much in real time, I feel.
Heather, we are pushing, obviously, the platform of WAFB Plus. We are urging people to go to the website, wafb.com/Jordy. How do you use that content? How do you use that content compared to what you guys are doing on the terrestrial station, on the traditional media route, to what you're using on WAFB Plus and urging the content to look like on WFB.com?
Yes, so we have to reach a different audience nowadays. It's not all through TV, so that's why we launched WAFB Plus. And WAFB Plus, you can download it. It's a streaming service through your TV. So you have Roku, you have Amazon Fire, Apple TV. You just download the WFB Plus app, and we have tons of content on there, including our live news. So people who are cable cutters, you can still watch live and local news with WFB Plus, and you can see all of our replays and great content like Jacques Talk, Jordy Culotta Show, Asian Nation. We have tons of content and weather. If you want weather all the time, it's on WFB Plus. And then again, with the website, the website again is a different audience. So we have to make sure that the content that we're putting out there, we understand the consumer. We understand how they consume their media, whether it's, an audio or a visual or on their phone, on their TV. And so we have to be on every platform. And that's why WFB Plus is here. And that's why we're partnering with you to bring great, unique content to a different platform.
I know you will be out at a conference next week that is talking a lot about this, but how fast is this industry changing? How fast is television meeting digital?
Everything honestly changes daily. I listen to podcasts a lot, especially with marketing and digital marketing trends, and people may not realize or may wonder, like, how often does Google update their algorithms? Because that's the fight sometimes, with SEO, and it's daily. It can be minor, but you might see major updates annually. So with digital marketing, look how TikTok blew up. It happens very quickly, and you have to have your finger on the pulse, and you have to understand what's going on and be able to react and to pivot, when something may happen to completely change the industry.
Jacques, a little sports talk for him as you had the sit down with Brian Kelly. It was a very in-depth, long-form interview. I think it ran like 44 minutes of you and Coach Kelly just kind of going back and forth. What was your biggest takeaway from that?
Well, look, I enjoyed covering Les Miles. I enjoyed covering Ed Ogeron. I had a lot of fun with those two coaches, and was blessed to cover national championships and a lot of winning teams there. I do think he is the most organized and most thoughtful interview we've had since Nick Saban in 2004. The guy obviously has a plan. He's very well organized, meticulous in day-to-day operations. Graduate champions is something they keep saying. We're going to graduate champions, and somebody may roll their eyes and say, okay, come on, you're at a football power. You got to win football games. Who cares if the kids graduate? But I think, like I told you last week, the line that stuck with me was, if our kids don't jump off sides, then they'll probably not cut class too, and those kind of things. And so I think they're very adamant on and that's a tricky dance to get the best player in and then also have him be a good kid as well. But I think they're going to do their best to get both. NIL is obviously a big deal. Keishawn Butte, I think you were discussing him. Ask a few questions about that. Some people don't like to see a 21-year-old kid posing in front of a Lamborghini. Others say, hey, if he earned the money, it's his. Get out of his pockets and don't be a hater. And he said, well, NIL is not pay for play. Keishawn has to do something in return to Gordon McKernan to get that money and whatnot. And so it's an interesting time. Myself, if my team's 9-3 or 10-2 and playing in a bowl game to finish in the top 10, that excites me. I find that doesn't excite people as much as it used to. I think the playoff has hurt bowl games. I think, I don't ever want to go to a bowl game and see what I saw from LSU in that Texas Bowl where there's, nobody's there.
Sure.
And so, one guy, and to your credit, your show really latched on to was B.J. Ojulari. And I asked about him, and he said, no doubt, he's one of the guys we're putting to the forefront. Sure. I don't know who they're going to bring the SEC Football Media Days, but certainly I would not be shocked if B.J. Ojulari is one of the guys they bring.
It would be, and I use this word with all due respect, it would be safe, and it would be a great representative for LSU. I think 30 seconds around BJ, and you're like, wow. He's different. Just the way that he carries himself, and not different from players in the locker room, different from people his age, right? I just think that he's an outlier when you think about a 21-year-old on just his maturity level. He experienced a ton of success early on. He handled that success. If you look at what he's done academically since he's been here, he's on schedule to graduate early. And, you know, I mean, you look at Mel Kiper's mock draft, he's a top 10 pick right now. So, I mean, he checks all of the boxes from the standpoint of a representative and what you're looking for. But I think it is a great question on who he will bring.
Yeah, Patrick Queen was doing a free football camp the other day in Livonia, and BJ was out there and helping to work it and everything. You're not going to take a quarterback because that's not set.
It just opens you up to so many questions, right? I mean, like, why is he here?
If you don't have a starter, why is this guy?
Right.
Yeah, I think Jeray Jenkins might be a good guy to bring. You know, he's not the best wide receiver, but he's been the most consistent, has played the most and everything.
Major Burns is another one I think that makes sense, you know, from just a representative standpoint, somebody that you can depend on too.
Jack Besh would be phenomenal, but he's only a
He'd be great for us. He'd be great for us. Yeah, the sound bites. I think that he probably gives them a little anxiety still. You know what I mean? By being out in the public. But Heather, we have a question from a listener asking, with the digital attention that's being paid to WAFB, will there ever be a chance to watch former Sportsline Friday nights and to bring back that type of program? Is there discussion of bringing back archived programming within WAFB?
I'm not going to give too much away. I will say this: next year, WAFB is celebrating 70 years.
Wow.
I know, 70 years. So we have a lot of fun stuff in store with that. So you just never know. If you ever come to the station, you look in the sports department, there are tapes. We have the tapes.
Yes.
I'm local. I went to Redemptorist High School.
Shout out to the Wolfpack.
Shout out 2000, 2004.
Oh, wow. That was the golden age.
Golden age. Sid Edwards, Jay Lucas, all the good guys. But Steve Schneider actually showed me some footage from when I was in high school of some football games. So we have it all.
There was a point when Redemptorist was closed, and they had the most players in the NFL.
Yeah.
They had Russell Gage, Lael Collins, and Jeremy Hill were all in the league. So
I mean, in what Heather, the time she's talking about from 2002 to 2004, I think that's 2 football state championships and a basketball state championship, all guided by Sid.
I remember covering the one in Shreveport.
We had 3.
3 football.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 football and.
So we had in 1 year football, basketball, and wrestling, I believe, all won state champions.
Yeah. I mean, that was like the Shelton Sampson to Jay Lucas running back. Yeah. David Plaisance was back there. I mean, that was just running backs and athletes that were coming out of North Baton Rouge at Redemptorist. It just an incredible. It was probably the best sports program in the state.
I remember watching a playoff game between Redemptorist and Patterson.
Yep, we called that one on the radio.
You were on the radio.
Was that Jeremy Hill versus Kenny Hilliard?
Kenny Hilliard.
Jeremy Hill versus Kenny Hilliard.
But there was who was the linebacker on the field for Patterson that played at LSU?
Lorenzo Phillips.
Lorenzo Phillips was on that field. Obviously, Lael Collins, Kyle Hebert, the quarterback for Redemptorist, went on to play at big time. I mean, that was one of the best high school games. That's when Guy Mastretta at the end of the game threw the kicking tee onto the field to kick a field goal late in the game to take the lead, and Jeremy Hill picked it up and threw it back. Picked it up and threw it back to him. And Patterson actually won that game.
Yeah, I think so.
That was a hell of a game, man. At the Rock. The Rock.
And then,
Hey.
Parkview and Redemptorist. I mean, that was like Santa Ma and EA. That was one of those games you had to be at, every year.
My senior year was the first year that Sid was at Redemptorist, and it became you could feel the rivalry starting to really kind of bud, and then go back to that game 2 or 3 years later. And I mean, you couldn't get a spot in the parking lot, you couldn't get a ticket to get in, and you had to get there 4 hours before kickoff for it to even happen.
Speaking of wrestling, Guy Mastretta was like a Hall of Fame wrestler in high school too.
Yeah, and that coaching staff in 02. It was like Saban,
like the Cleveland Browns 95.
It was like LSU. It was like LSU 01. We mentioned that Jameis Winston minicamp starts today in Saints. Obviously, you do a lot of good work in going down and covering the Saints camp and bring it back to the Baton Rouge viewers. Jameis is not on an early MVP list that was published today by our friends over at Caesar Sportsbook. Joey Burrow's on there at plus 1,200. Aaron Rodgers is on there plus 900. The favor is Josh Allen in Buffalo at plus 700. But nowhere on the list is Jameis Winston. What do you expect Jameis to look like this year, and what do you expect year one without Sean Payton to feel like around New Orleans?
Well, Kevin Baptiste is heading down there today to cover it for us. Jameis was playing very solid football last year before he got injured. They were 5-2 after they beat the Bucs in the Superdome. and his interception ratio to touchdowns was very, very good. It reminded me a little bit of Jarrett Lee in 2011, where I think they coached him, don't turn the ball over, don't turn the ball over. And he was hanging on to it and taking some sacks at times instead of throwing the picks. But at the same time, who was he throwing to? You know, Drew Brees could mask some of this stuff. I mean, I never forget the game on Thursday night. It was a Thanksgiving game where Drew Brees threw 4 touchdown passes to 4 guys who weren't drafted. And so last year, Jameis maybe
Jacques, Heather, Jordy, and Lloyd.
right. So, and Callaway, I heard you talking a while ago. He's got talent, and certainly, but to put him at the number 1 and say, hey, carry the team, you know. So I think this year with these weapons, I think that and the knee is hopefully the knee is fine, and he comes back from that. And look. I know what's been made of Andy Dalton over the years and what he's been called. I feel much better about him as the backup of this team as opposed to what they were putting on the field last year as the backup. This guy's played a lot of football, and he's probably never had wide receivers like this before. So if Jameis, for whatever reason, can't go, I don't feel terrible about putting Andy Dalton in the game to lead the team as opposed to Ian Book or Taysom Hill. So yeah, I mean, I think people are rooting for Jameis. Obviously, Jameis is a likable guy. Every time he's in the locker room or around his team, people seem to gravitate towards him. He's out there. Brad Johnson, Max, his father, we talked to him. Jameis is going to be Jameis. Let him be Jameis, you know, and just kind of embrace that. Don't try to, you know, Drew Brees was, you know, straight-laced, you know. This guy's a little different, you know, so we just have to get used to it.
How big of a story is Matthew and Landry being back and playing for the Saints with still football life in the tank? I think that's more of the story that, I mean, people look at it as almost like a sentimental signing, and it's not. I mean, both of these guys still have a lot of good football left to play.
Well, I'm talking to a few of my friends in the New Orleans media, and I guess it's just coincidence, but look, Sean Payton's the greatest Saints coach of all time. What he did was incredible. What they did in the years before, from 1967 through 2005 to what he did, I mean, they won, one playoff game before he got there, and we know what Sean Payton did. But Sean Payton leaving, and bang, bang, they signed
drafted first round
Jarvis Landry, you know, and I've heard, too, from the media guys, things are a little more, you know, when he was there and you go cover a Saints event, they were kind of, you know, don't step this way, don't step that way, don't tweet while we're indoors, you can tweet while you're outdoors. There were just a lot of these rules, and just kind of, that's been relaxed a little bit, I think. So the media is a little more friendly to the media now. So, but yeah, those are 2 great stories. I think Tyron, as you know, and you know, your great interview with him and whatnot, he was not ready to be in New Orleans when he, you know, out of college.
Definitely.
So now he's a grown man, although he's just 30 years old. He's mature. He can handle New Orleans. And then Jarvis, you know, growing up right down the road in Lutcher. Can't wait to see him be a Saint too.
Heather, we ask everybody, or we tell everybody who asks about the relationship on how it's going to exist, is that you guys will take the highlights in our show from the day, and then it'll go up on WAFB Plus, in which you guys have labeled a swim lane. We have our own lane of Jordy Culotta show content that you can go there and find. But when you think about this partnership and where it's going, I think the potential of it is just, there's things that we'll probably be doing a year from now that we're not even talking about.
100%.
Right? I mean, how do you see this kind of going as we move into the future of this relationship?
Yeah, I mean, it is evolving every day. I mean, even just having conversations with Jacques and getting his input on, you know, what he wants to do going forward, and, you know, our internal sports team, it's amazing the ideas that we can come up with within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to be willing to just kind of jump on and just let's all eggs in the basket, right? Let's go for it. Let's go. So, I mean, with SEC Media Days, and we got football season coming up in like 5 or 6 weeks. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. Nothing's off the table. We're ready. You have some great ideas you're bringing to the table. I'm excited. Yeah. You know, the whole team at WFB is incredibly excited about this partnership, because you're right. There are no limits to this.
We've talked a little bit like about SEC Media Days, which is coming up, and that just gives us the potential. And obviously with football season just right around the corner, it's going to be fun, man. Heather, thank you and your team so much for getting this done and getting us to the table, and everybody, Rob, Joe, you, everybody over there. And we can't wait to start working together with Jacques and the entire crew over there. Thank y'all for stopping by this morning. And these are conversations that we will routinely have here now on the Jordy Culotta Show over at FM Digital Studios. Obviously mic'd up with 6 to 8 and Rohan Davies show on Thursdays. Jacques, this is the first time he's been to the studio here on this Tuesday morning, and it will not be the last, as we will now be working together in using one another's resources to kind of go back and forth on bringing you the sports stories and the sports guests that we feel like we do pretty good. So
hey, I want to come back on Wednesday and see Joe Sloan.
Well, come on back. Come on back. I sense a lot of seriousness in that tone too.
He's like, I'm just gonna be that serious.
I'll be here. Jacques and Heather, our friends over at WAFB, they will be here more. You'll be seeing them more on this platform. And obviously watch them over at WAFB. Make sure you have downloaded WAFB Plus. Make sure you have downloaded the app and you're online. If you're looking for our content online, WAFB.com/Jordy is where you find it today. We will be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
Hey y'all, it's Mikey from Mic'd Up. Catch us live every Monday and Wednesday, 11 to 1. Talk gambling, talk sports, have a ton of guests in here, get a little perspective from the athlete side of it. We got Lloyd in the house, Jay Mitch is in here a lot of the time. It's a fun show, great show. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends. If you don't like it, it's fine. Make fun of us, it's okay. Just get us out there, share us out there. We having fun, we want to share our fun with you. Like I said, Mic'd Up, brought to you by Sterling Automotive. Every Monday through Wednesday, 11 to 1. Catch us live on YouTube, baby. See y'all.
Looking to book a dumpster but no idea how? We've made it quick and easy for you. Check out our website at moralesrolloffs.com. Let Morales Roll-Offs know your desired delivery date, and finally, provide your contact details. To make payment, look out for an email invoice with all your booking details. On delivery day, our driver will notify you through text and email that your dumpster is ready and on the way. Now you know how easy and convenient it is. Call Morales Roll-Offs at 225-427-0000 for your dumpster.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by Hebert's Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, Hebert's Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. Hebert's can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. Hebert's Lawn Maintenance.
Papa Earl's, the fine spice, originating right down here in South Louisiana by our guy Mark Pop Norman. Developed it back in 2018 and won Amazon's Newcomer of the Year in 2019. They pride themselves in having 30% less salt and sodium than the leading brands at the same price point. You can find them locally. Look for Papa Earl's at Rouse's, Calandro's, Mathern's, High Neighbor, and more. True Blue Water, true hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's TRU, bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. TRU, bluewater.com. All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Shout out to our crew, Heather Godin and Jacques Doucet from WAFB, stopping by here on this Tuesday morning, and to all of our friends over there at WAFB, who have been so instrumental in getting this done and helping us out, man, with all of the media and all of the news and everything that's been going on. Rob Hayes, the president over there, Joe Scortoni, who is the one of the boys, the general manager, Heather Godin, who's the digital director over there, Don, their sales manager. Everybody over at WAFB has been tremendous to get this deal done, work with. And there you see some of the things that Jacques and I have talked about, and some of the things that we plan on bringing you here through this partnership. Don't forget, daily, we're brought to you by Johnson and Spillers. They are our dentist, located around Gonzales and Baton Rouge. 2 locations in Gonzales, one in Gonzales on Prepara Avenue, and in Baton Rouge, in between Perkins Road, in between Segan Lane and Bluebonnet. Stop in and see Johnson and Spillers. Can help you out with all of your dentist needs, whether you are looking just for general dentistry, if you got a couple of kids under the roof and you need some pediatric dentistry. Johnson and Spillers has great experience, and go see our friend Dr. Chad Spillers, Dr. Johnson over at Johnson Spillers, johnsonspillers.com, online, Facebook, social media, all over the place. johnsonspillers.com is where you can find them. So shout out to our friends.
I wonder if that's who took care of Ron.
No, he went back to Ron. Went back to.
Oh, he went home.
Yeah.
Smart move. He did it before.
Ronnie had a couple of teeth pulled.
I think he got his wisdom teeth pulled.
Okay.
You'll have to take 4 of those things, Coach.
Ronnie's probably he's loving life.
Absolutely.
Ronnie probably wants to go back for a follow-up. I think y'all missed all of my teeth. Take them all out.
It's crazy. My mouth still hurts.
Yeah.
So bad.
Do you have any more of those pills that you gave me? You know, those prescription things?
The strong Advil.
Yes, the dentist who can make even the most miserable experiences seem right. Our friends over at Johnson and Spillers made a tooth implant feel like a vacation. Big Nuts Lutz is back. We were talking about the New Orleans Saints starting minicamp today. Will Lutz put on IG, was this yesterday? After 11 months and multiple surgeries and setbacks, I've officially been cleared. No words can explain how hard these 11 months have been mentally and physically, but it's added a whole new perspective and motivation to get back to the top. A lot of work ahead, but I can't wait to be back on the field and helping this team win. That was put out on Instagram 20 hours ago by Will_Lutz5. Big Nuts Lutz is back for the New Orleans Saints, so another playmaker back in the fold for the Saints as they get on the field today for training camp. Big story. They cost themselves some points last year, obviously. Not having the consistency and not having the confidence of Will Lutz out there on special teams. So good to see from his own social media that he is back, cleared, ready to go here as training camp, mini camp is set to begin. And then Montrezl Harrell is looking at a felony in the face after trafficking 3 pounds of marijuana, which.
I mean, who's counting?
Yeah,
Cop?
right.
Are you a cop?
Yeah.
I mean, 3 pounds, 1 pound.
10 pounds.
10 pounds.
20.
You still worried about marijuana on the
That's what I
streets?
thought.
I thought
You
it
got
was
states
decriminalized.
growing it now and handing it out to their citizens legally. If you use the promo code Jordy1, save yourself 20% over at Relief Med.
Get you 3 pounds.
But Montrezl Harrell has been charged with drug trafficking
state
after the
is he
cops say that he found 3 pounds of weed in his car during a traffic stop. That is a little much to be riding around with, Trezzy. You know what I mean? Like, roll a couple of bleezies up and hit the road, man. 3 pounds. What is he going on vacation?
Well, that's what he tried to do whenever the cops stopped him. They said, first of all, he gets pulled over for following the police too closely. Which, if you got weight, you need to be fucking riding that, dude. Tap the brakes a little bit, brother. We good.
Headlights on, blinkers are working.
Yeah, don't be following a cop too closely. So that's why he gets pulled over.
North Carolina was the state.
Oh. Oh, and he went to Louisville, so maybe a little bad blood there. But,
yeah.
They definitely knew who he was.
On the hood, Montrez.
Yeah, that 20 and 10 you dropped.
That's right.
But, so he gets pulled over. They're like, we smell weed in the car, and he tried to do what you said to do. He had a little weed in his pocket. And he said, this is what you smell. He goes, suppose it's more than that. Unzip the book sack.
What
3
book sack?
pounds. Yeah, take it.
According to the Charlotte Observer, I was wrong on this. He was in Kentucky. The 28-year-old was pulled over by a Kentucky state trooper around 10 a.m. on May 12th for driving a 2020 Honda Pilot rental too close to the car in front of him.
He was doing everything right.
During the stop, the cops claimed they smelled weed. The report says Harold admitted to having a little weed on him and pulled a small out from his sweatpants. But when the cops searched the vehicle, they claimed to have found a backpack filled with 3 pounds of weed and vacuum sealed bags. Harold, who played at the University of Louisville, was charged with trafficking less than 5 pounds of weed, which is a Class D felony in the state of Kentucky, especially for first-time offenders. That could result up to 5 years behind bars and a fine. Who's Montrezl Harrell play for now? Does he not? He doesn't play for the Clippers, so he plays for the Hornets.
Yeah, and he was at Lakers last year, I think, and I think he was part of that. Did he win a title? Was he part of the bubble ring?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think he was on the Clippers. Yeah, I think he was on the Clippers.
He was a good player. But I don't. There's no way he's not going to jail.
I mean, is there room in jail for people with weed now?
I wouldn't think so, right?
Who do I make the check out to?
Seriously,
University of Kentucky.
Pitch a little off the top, why don't you?
You want some?
It doesn't have to be 3 pounds. It can be 2 pounds.
You take a pound and a half.
2.5?
Yeah, right. We go our separate ways. Capiche, yeah?
But he was doing everything right. He gets the rental car.
Yeah.
He's a low-key rental car, too. He's in the Honda Pilot. Montrezl got more than Honda Pilot money.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to stay low-key, just a little too close to the car.
Should have had a car seat in there.
Yeah.
Make it real.
There you go.
Right.
I got kids back here, bro. Come on now.
What do you mean?
Put some
Me?
McDonald's in the
Weed?
back.
Never.
No.
I'm a father, for God's sake, sir.
I'm going to work out.
Unzip that backpack. This one? Nah, I can't do that, man.
You don't want to smell that, Coach. I got all that. That's my workout stuff.
There's diapers in there.
So it looks like stuff for Montrez is going to be.
This won't keep him out the league, though.
No way.
That's what I'm saying. Like, nobody
No
cares
way.
about this. I
No
can't believe he
way.
could still get arrested.
No way. They, I had an NBA. I think like 93% of the league smokes weed.
They don't even drug test
I mean,
you.
Yeah,
KD
they got it.
said he was like,
Oh, didn't
high
the,
right now.
did the
Yeah.
NFL get it worked in their collective bargaining
Yep.
agreement too, that they don't test for marijuana anymore? I mean,
Gave up a game for it, but
yeah.
Hey, we know what's important here.
hey, yep.
We'll play one more if I feel
which
good.
one more weekend?
Yeah. Another game check, too.
Roll that up for me.
Yeah.
All right, what's the bet? What are we looking at? I'm putting a future in on Jameis and MVP. I'm also going to put a future in on Joey B and MVP. Joey B's plus 1,200 right now at the window of our friends over at Caesar Sportsbook. Make sure and download the Caesar Sportsbook app. Use the promo code FM. That is the letter F, the letter M, the number's 15, the number 15. FM15 is the promo code to make yourself money while you gamble money over at Caesar Sportsbook. I like futures, a couple of futures here on What's the Bet today. I'm going to take Jameis Winston, who is off the board.
Yeah, how do you get a
I don't know how I'm going to do that. I'm going to call one of the wise guys up in Vegas and see if we can't find a number here. But I will take it as soon as I get Jameis numbers. I'm going to take his future on an MVP, and I'm going to put a little cash down on Joey Burrow at plus 1,200 to win the MVP.
Already put that in too. I'm in, and I've got
you like
Jameis.
that?
Yes, and I'm following you on the Jameis train, but not for MVP.
Comeback
for
player of the year?
player of the year. Yeah, so I've got that in, and I'm also going to go ahead and hop on Celtics -2. I think it's 4. I bought it down to 2 to keep it under that 3 number, but I'm gonna go ahead and take them for Game 6. So
Jeff and Kenner, a contact with the Pelicans team, told me that they all smoke weed. Every single one of them, Jeff.
I mean, have you seen Brandon Ingram?
Every last one of them.
That man ain't seen his day
No way.
sober. I mean, he can't open his eyes, and he's still balling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes him feel good.
It's kind of the letter of the league, man.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? James Harden. Have you heard some of the stories about Harden in Houston?
No.
A couple of his neighbors did a blog, and they were like, I mean, as soon as you get off the elevator, it smells like Kingston, Jamaica. You know what I mean?
Smells good down this hall.
As soon as you exit, it doesn't matter what angle you hit the floor from. You can come up the stairs. There's an elevator on each side of the floor. No matter what side you get off on, it feels like you have landed in the middle of a Rastafarian concert.
Hey,
Yeah.
James.
James, you got any milk?
Can I hit that?
Right.
Dude, you just have to put your face underneath the door and catch a little bit.
You got some sugar?
Wait, wasn't it James Harden that was with the rapper? Were they in London or something? Where they walked outside that picture and they're like, "Oh shit, the paparazzi's here!" And they were, dude, high as a kite, like, "Oh fuck, like damn, I wasn't ready for all this."
It might have been James Harden and Lil Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He went on like a tour when he was trying to get himself out of Houston.
Well, James Harden obviously battles the munchies because he can't stay in shape. This man shouldn't be. I mean, I guess he's fallen out of favor, I would imagine.
Yeah.
in
No, he's
Philly.
done.
Yeah.
He's done.
Yeah.
I think once your basketball skill leaves you, you can't get it back.
Can't run away from it.
Well, you
either.
can't get it back.
It's kind of like Westbrook.
Westbrook, Harden. I mean, once you lose the basketball skill and power of your body in game, it's lost. It's over.
Especially if you don't want to work at it. Like James Harden doesn't seem like he's going to get his talents back. He's like, good run.
That man's in the studio
That man's
with
at
rappers
the strip club.
in the strip club.
With a couple $100 million in the bank, too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you lose focus. Did you see where Ferrari signed Ben Simmons?
No.
Did you see this?
Well, I think I did see this like last week.
This is so the F1 weekend for Ferrari. Anybody who
fit in
had
that car.
anything to do with Ferrari had a terrible weekend. We'll catch up with the Alessis on Thursday. Our insiders, Frank and David, from the On the Podium podcast, the F1 podcast that we've got over here at FM Digital Media. They are Team Ferrari, and it seems like Team Ferrari had a just putrid weekend for the gearheads, for the F1 crew. But I did see where Ferrari signed an endorsement deal with Ben Simmons, and they tweeted out the picture of it as soon as they were out of contention on Sunday at the F1 race. Now, I don't know why you would sign.
Control the landscape.
I don't know why you would sign a guy like Simmons right now who seems very unattractive to endorsers, but maybe you do it just for this reason, so you get people talking about it, right? I mean, I guess.
How
I
many
don't.
does he have?
What?
Ferraris.
I don't know.
I mean, it
Yeah,
seems like he has a lot of Ferraris.
Wasn't he struggling with cash for that
That's
for
what
a
I'm
minute?
saying. This is a toxic deal for him. He doesn't know how to spend his money. Then you're going to start putting Ferraris in his lap. Get him on the basketball court first. But if you want to go, this is his lifestyle. Though this
Yeah.
is what he wants to do.
This is who he is.
He wants to go to Monaco. He wants to be in the
Absolutely.
F1 scene. He wants to be famous. He's going to forget that if you don't play basketball, you're not going to be famous for very long.
Or you're going to be
hang out with you
famous
for the wrong thing.
Yes, for being famous.
Yeah, for not being good at basketball.
What we got? What's the bet? I got Jameis future, and I got Joey B future. Somebody in the chat. Let me get to it just so I make sure and give people the right. Doug knows. Texted in Mike Thomas for comeback player of the year might be a good little.
I don't know if he's going to play.
Oh, he's in.
He's in.
There's no way he cannot play this year.
Do you think then that's what that was our, let's see what the poll said, our original question for today on the Southern Out Center poll. Will Mike Thomas be ready week 1 for the Saints? 63% say yes.
Yeah.
Out of 200
Gotta be.
votes. Yeah.
Gotta be.
I don't know. It just seems so sketchy.
I mean,
like
unless
we
he's
said,
got a new foot. I just don't understand how the setback could be to this point right now, right? I mean,
But I thought he would be farther along than the video that he posted of him just, I mean, he was getting it, but I thought we'd be cutting and moving a little bit, and he's not. Obviously, Saints report today, he's not a part of that. You have everybody else that I think Jarvis is there, but
this is the mandatory,
yeah,
right?
and he's not a part of it. He's not practicing. So I'm saying a little disconcerting just for old Mikey T, but week 1 he'll be out there. I just would like to see him play a little bit with Jameis, like get some reps together. If you'd have told me that Jameis was going to be the one back before Michael Thomas, I would have been shocked. That's not what I would have expected with Jameis coming off an ACL, Michael Thomas coming off a foot surgery 2 years ago, and one of them's not there.
Twan Van Wyn says he's going to Montreal for the F1 race this weekend. I hear Montreal is a great place. Canada's a great spot.
Hey, and if you want, speaking of what's the bet, follow our F1 guys because they put me on Max Verstappen last week and he cashed a ticket.
Let's go.
Yeah, so then that's a good little odds you get there. I think it was
How do you bet F1?
Caesars. You just go to they have a little helmet and it looks like a racing car helmet. So I clicked on that F1 and just picked. You can pick total points, like podium finishes, and who's like you can just pick winners. So I just did Max Verstappen to win, cash that ticket. I think it was plus 900. So take that to the bank if you want it.
Remember, you can like and follow and share our comments here. We appreciate your interaction with us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, Katie told you we're brought to you by Fresh Chef Kitchen. Over at Fresh Chef Kitchen right now, they got a deal with a promo code. The coupon code is Jordy10. Jordy10 to be used at checkout. The coupon code is valid for first-time customers ordering online or for pre-orders. The code applies to all orders of $40 or more. The coupon is valid for the next 3 weeks. Jordy10 is the promo code, the coupon code to use from our friends over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. We've told you about Fresh Chef Kitchen and what they have going on over there. Chef Shane and the crew as they bring through the fresh bags of pre-mailed, pre-prepared meals each week here to FM Digital Media. You can find them online at freshchefeats.com. freshchefeats.com, where they're prepared meals for everyone daily. Pre-order your meals and visit them online at freshchefeats.com to make your order today, as you can find the fresh food, all of the ingredients and the passion that goes in to making these prepared dishes for you over at Fresh Chef Kitchen, where they began just by starting to do meal prep for themselves. A coworker asked Chef Shane to start helping them out with some prepared meals, and next thing you know, he's flipped it into a business that's helping out guys like Andre Anthony get prepared for the NFL draft. Anthony's still using Chef Shane's services with Fresh Chef, even though he's been over in Tampa Bay getting ready for this offseason before his rookie season in the NFL. Check out freshchefeats.com, freshchefeats.com, and use the coupon code Jordy10 to save yourself some money at checkout over there. We appreciate everybody interacting with us here on this Tuesday. As we said last night in the NBA Finals, Golden State was able to get past the Boston Celtics by 10 with a 104-94 win over Boston, as Golden State takes a 3-2 lead now in this series. It'll shift back to Boston for Game 6 on Thursday night. If Boston can keep this thing alive, it will shift back to San Francisco for a Game 7 on Sunday. But last night was a really good opportunity for the Boston Celtics to steal one from Golden State on their home floor over on the Chase Center. We mentioned to you at the start of the show that it was just a putrid night for Steph Curry, just a bad night for Curry, as he could not find it, man. He couldn't find the rim on 9 3-pointers. He was 0 for 9. He had 16 points, 8 assists, 0 of 9 from three-point range. As we said, the career three-point leader's NBA record streak of 132 straight postseason games came to a snap, along with his NBA best run of 233 consecutive games in knocking down a three-pointer with regular seasons and playoffs combined. Came to a halt last night after Curry just couldn't find it. He was 0 for 9, as we said, from behind the arc. Jason Tatum had 27 and 10 for the Celtics. Jaylen Brown was 2 of 11 from the field. He had 18 points. He was 5 of 18. Boston lost consecutive games for the first time this postseason. Boston has been playing at a very high level. We saw their coach get a technical foul last night. They just looked they couldn't find their sync on offense as Golden State was able to win the game with Steph Curry not playing at an MVP level of the series. He's been there. He had 43, I believe, in Game 4. The game I told you to bet the under on the 28.5 points because Steph looked like he rolled an ankle. Felt like an easy bet. Steph rolls up on that ankle and drops 43 in Boston the last time there. So 104-94 last night, winners for the Warriors. I feel like the Warriors are now taking command of this series. It felt like whoever won Game 5 was probably going to win this series. I'm riding with all of y'all. I believe that Game 6 goes to Boston and they force a Game 7 back in San Francisco, where Golden State will have an opportunity to close them out.
Do you think Steph is more close? I wouldn't say he was the Steph that you saw last night, but I don't think he's also the Steph of 45 points a game. We talked about how whenever the Warriors were losing earlier in the series, like how they looked old. I think that still has some merit whenever you get later in the series, Game 6, Game 7. You're good. They're going up against just a younger Boston team. If Jason Tatum can find some semblance of what his game is supposed to look like, then I think the Celtics still have a fight in the series. But I don't know how Steph is close to averaging 34. More like averaging 26, 28. And you finally had somewhat of a Draymond sighting yesterday. He decided to, I guess, lace him up for a little bit. We have 8 points, 18 points. Did he score double digits?
Another single triple.
Well, I mean,
triple?
you knew he was going to come out at the beginning of that game.
Barking.
Just
Wait,
on
did
fire.
y'all see when he went to like the bench with Jason Tatum with the ball?
Yes.
Jason Tatum, I don't know if Draymond had just scored and Boston called a timeout, and Jason Tatum had the ball. Draymond follows him to the bench with the ball, like trying to get the ball out of his hand.
I saw that when he went into the huddle.
Yeah, and
Yes.
Tatum's like sitting on the bench with the
the
ball.
ball.
And Marcus Smart's like, bro, get the fuck out of here. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, I saw that.
Big elementary school vibe.
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking my ball with me. Like, I want the ball. It's like, oh, what are we doing here? But it's been a great final so far, but I'm interested to see how much longer Draymond can keep this up. Like,
Yeah.
what do you get from it? Well, I guess we had Jamar Cain come and say, you have a prison guy. And that's what he brings to the table now. It's not basketball anymore. It's just more of a mentality.
He's a goon.
He's a goon.
Yeah.
Getting somebody's head.
The precipitous drop-off of him has been unbelievable. Like, he used to be kind of a player for you, and now it's just triple single, and I'm trying to take the ball from you.
Yeah, it's his game has definitely fell off a cliff. And as far as Golden State goes, this is where Wiseman being out hurts you the most, is what Draymond has to pick up in Wiseman's absence. You would think that if Wiseman was there, that you'd have a shot protector or a rim protector who can block shots. You got a guy who can clean up the glass, and then you get an offensive skill set that you can work with, right? He's not going to get you a double-double every night, but he's going to help you, obviously, with being able to protect the rim, recreate shots, block shots, and then, obviously, on the glass with his height and athleticism. And Draymond has been I think what Draymond brings you more than anything is that he's probably one of the best defenders in the league, right? Just because he can play physical, he's athletic enough to move side to side, and he's just got this mentality about him where he's just dog eat dog, right? I mean, he is going to be loud. He's going to be ferocious. He's going to be in your face. He's going to be that guy that not every night you're going to want to match up with. And there's something to be said for that in professional sports when somebody who can bring that intensity every time the ball's tipped off. And like what Coach Kane was talking about, a jail guy, I think that's what that is. No matter what the circumstance is, no matter what's going on with the team, and I know that he struggled last time in Boston, but the Boston fans were, they were ready for Draymond, and they'll be ready for him on Thursday night. But in the sense of you never have to be curious on the fact on where Draymond's at, right? Like, I mean, he's going to give you everything he's got. And you know that he's going to always be looking out, or at least have the intention to keep the team's best at the forefront. I know that some of his antics and some of his acts don't always work out best for the team, but he's a guy that when it's time to go and it's time to play, it's time to compete, you want him on your side. A lot like Rodman was. I mean, he reminds me kind of almost like a modern-day Rodman. Rodman was much more athletic than Draymond, and not even really comparing their style of play, but just almost the mental toll that he can take on an opposing team. I was watching Jay and I have been kind of falling back into the Last Dance hole again, and you forget Rodman, or I guess you don't forget, you're just reminded by Rodman in going back and watching that series, in the amount of responsibility he had every night for that team. Jordan put a lot on Rodman to make sure he was going to guard he was going to guard the other team's best player. He was going to be counted on to get you 20 rebounds. He was going to have to run the floor offensively and fill lanes. And Jordan counted on that guy
to do exactly that.
Every night. Every night. And that's why they kind of gave him that rope. They allowed him to be Rodman to a degree. But Jordan was the one that was the most pissed off and telling Phil, I wouldn't let him do this, man. You know what I mean? Like, don't let him get away here. And then as Carmen Electra tells the story, it was Michael Jordan that was beating down the door the morning to get him back to practice and get him back on the floor because of just how much he means to the team. You know what I mean? Like, how much they count on him, how much he does. You don't look at it in the stat line. It's easy to make fun. It's easy to make fun of the triple singles, right? But he never comes off the floor.
Yeah, and you see him like diving for balls into the front rows, like just stuff like that. You don't, a lot of guys don't do.
He brings the mentality. That's why he's there. That's evident. Like whenever Draymond's on the court, he's still respected on the team, no doubt. But he's fouled out they've played 5 games. He's fouled out of 3 of them.
I was about to say, does he still have more fouls than points in this series?
Probably so.
Probably.
Cumulatively, I would say so for sure. Donnie T, Jordy, you were speaking about Boston the same way after Game 3. I know it was.
I know. Well, this series has been flipping.
It has gone back and forth.
It's a 7-game series. I still believe that.
Boston blew a great opportunity last night. You got to beat Steph Curry. You got to beat Steph Curry and the Warriors when he doesn't make a 3-pointer. I mean, it hadn't happened in 3 years. And for it to come on the scene like it did last night at the finals, in the playoffs, in that moment, Boston had to capitalize from there and steal one from Golden State if they wanted any opportunity to close that thing out in Boston on Thursday night. Now, I mean, this has become a lot tougher in the sense of got to win Thursday, then you got to pack it back up, go back out to San Francisco for a Game 7 and try to take it away from Golden State. If they look back on this series in a week, 2 weeks, a month from now, they'll probably say, damn, Game 5 is where it really slipped away, where we blew our biggest opportunity to win the game. And after Game 3, I thought that Golden State couldn't guard Boston. I really didn't. I didn't think when Boston's ancillary parts outside of Tatum and Brown were playing like they did, Derek White knocking down 3-pointers, Al Horford stepping back and hitting shots, Grant Williams guarding Draymond and guarding Klay Thompson and guarding whoever you needed him to guard. Robert Williams, the Louisiana native, with the ability to shot block and rim protect and rebound. I mean, they just felt like if those guys were going to play at that level and you were going to get from Tatum and Brown what you expect to get from them every night, then I thought that Boston was really unguardable for the old guys in Golden State. But when they started hitting shots and Klay Thompson started to hit shots, you started to see other guys step up and hit shots. Obviously, Steph had 43 in that Game 4 in Boston, which, you just can't account for a night like that when he's stepping past, the division line, taking 2 steps in and, raining in 3-pointers.
But as much as Golden State needed to win that when Steph goes off like that, that's how badly the Celtics needed to win when he's not. He wasn't a factor. And he kept putting up. I mean, he kind of kept shooting it because you're Steph Curry. But I wonder if that's going to be in his head a little bit whenever he's never really gone 0 from the field. He hasn't always played well in the finals. You go to Boston, and I think that's where Draymond kind of takes a lot of the heat off of him because the Boston crowd is more focused on Draymond, who's not really doing anything in terms on the offensive end, but he's catching all the flack. Whenever they should be having their attention on Steph, who's 0 from the field from 3, like that's the guy that you need to be kind of giving the shit to, so you can try to steal a game at home. And if you can get to 7, anything can happen in a Game 7.
Absolutely. One game for everything?
For everything. But it's been the ancillary pieces that have made the difference in it seems like every single game of the series. You talked about like Bob Williams was playing great, blocking shots. You get the Andrew Wiggins game last night. Mm-hmm. You get 28 and 16 from him or 28 and 12.
He seems like the answer for Tatum too.
Right.
Like on defense.
He's their he's their fix-it. If that part of the team plays well, that third guy steps up and it's Wiggins, they're going to win. He's like I guess he's the youngest piece they have left. Gary Payton Jr. came back.
Yeah.
And he gave him 15, I think, off the bench. And Gary Payton Sr., the glove, was wearing a shirt of Gary Payton, guarding Gary Payton Jr. on TV on Gary Payton. And it's like he just loves him some Gary Payton.
Was he smoking Gary Payton?
Probably
so.
Loud.
All
right, have a great day. We appreciate you being out there. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. Remember to check out our content over at WAFB Plus. Click on WAFB Plus. If you have not downloaded the app, make sure you do that. All the digital content from today will be found right there on WAFB Plus. We appreciate everybody for stopping by today. Jacques and Heather from WAFB coming through. We will link up with Gordon at some point here before the end of the week. My man is out of town right now.
Jet setting.
Living the great life.
Is he? Does he
yes.
live out of town?
He does.
Oh, okay.
He absolutely
does.
He can work. He can work remotely.
I'm just trying
He's got a couple of houses around the country. I don't know if he would appreciate me putting his stuff out there, but he lives a great life. He does not wait in any lines. He flies private. He's got homes in communities that we can only dream of getting in.
He ain't written no Honda Pilot.
Hell no, he's not renting any Honda Pilot. And if you've got a Honda Pilot that you've rented and got into some trouble, give him a call and he'll probably get you out of it.
Montrez.
I mean, he's everywhere. Like
He's everywhere.
Buses,
Yes.
billboards.
And he's nowhere in Baton Rouge.
Wow.
Living the good life. So at some point we will link up with him. Tomorrow morning, Joe Sloan, LSU quarterbacks coach, coming through the FM Digital Media Studios. Really looking forward to our conversation with Coach Sloan coming up here. You talk about a recruiting ace now, a guy who has established a ton of relationships around our state with his time up at Louisiana Tech as the OC and the time that he spent up there in Ruston. Comes down here to Baton Rouge, carrying over a lot of those relationships, and have done a really bang-up job of recruiting. And if you talk to the guys on staff, Garrett Nussmeier was very high on Joe Sloan when he came through here. Obviously, we've heard some of the offensive guys. John Emery was talking about Joe Sloan and what he's meant early on in his development here going into his senior season. So looking forward to catching up with the quarterbacks coach tomorrow from LSU, Joe Sloan, 7:30 in the morning right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. And then Representative John Stefanski going to be through here at 8:15 tomorrow morning. Stefanski will be talking about the latest from the legislative session. Obviously, all of the NIL stuff, which that bill has now moved to the governor's desk to be signed after a unanimous vote on both sides of the House and Senate of being cleared through and changing the language on the way that NIL is constituted and legislated here in the state of Louisiana. Stefanski will be talking up on that at 8:15 this morning. So come back with us on a Wednesday. We'll have a lot of information and content for you. Make sure and hit that like button, that share button. If you want to comment on the post, we appreciate that. Comment on it as all the interaction helps us out tremendously. For the entire crew here, Stewie may be in South Beach. He might be back tomorrow. Who knows? Counting on his uncle up in Portland to hitch a flight and then get him to Miami. He'd probably been better suited in just jumping in a piece of luggage for Katie as she was flying out this morning. Right? Katie is going to be out for the rest of the week. She'll be back with you on Monday. For the rest of the crew, Lloyd, Jamil, Bree, TJ, Brian Dryden, and everybody along with FM Digital Media. Tomorrow, or this morning, TJ is going to go live on the Jordy Culotta Show at 6:30 this afternoon with Alexis Morris, who is obviously the standout for the LSU women's team. And then TJ will have a conversation with BJ Ojolari tomorrow morning on our Jordy Culotta Show channel as well. Digital content, people. We're giving it to you. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. We appreciate our new partnership over at WAFB. It was great to be on the morning show with Matt and Liz. Looking forward to doing that every week. And we will be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. For Go Chevrolet and everybody signing us off, have a great Tuesday.